Greetings everyone, welcome back to my sketchbook. Today I'm going to draw something for which I don't really have a reference for, not that I do that anyway, but yesterday I was talking to Ethan and I asked, oh, what should I draw? Knowing that he was kind of into Titanic and stuff like that. I was shocked. Well, not shocked. He suggested that I draw Lightning McQueen. Now, I don't own a Lightning McQueen toy. Closest thing that I have is something like this, which is Dan Gurney's 1967 Ford GT40 MK4. Now, this is an interesting car, not that much like Lightning McQueen, but this is just for sake of having something nearby. Yeah, it's not really the same. I don't know where to put that. I'm going to set that up to one side there. So let's see what we can do here. This may not look anything like Lightning McQueen, but that's okay because I don't need to copy things anyway. The idea, I think, right now is I'm just going to kind of sketch out concepts and see what I can come up with. I did watch a couple of clips from the movies, so I have an idea of where I'm going, but not perfectly. In a weird way, I kind of consider that car to be kind of more fish than anything else. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. Oh, maybe a little more like this. I don't really know what kind of car it's supposed to be. My absolute favorite car in the world is a De Tomaso Pantera. I think that's a rough idea of what the shape kind of would be like with Lightning McQueen. Kind of like stylized 95 like that. On here, it's like rust, easy, well, something like that. Kind of a smile, something like that. I might have this kind of wrong, but anyway, that's roughly what we have going on for Lightning McQueen. I don't think I'm that far off with that. As I said, I did watch a few clips, and that's just based on what I kind of have in front of me. So yeah, I think that's probably the closest thing that I can come up with. Let's try a few other kind of angles of that just for fun. Maybe let's back this out a little bit more, and maybe, and looking at the side of this. Now I think that's probably like a more famous kind of view of Lightning McQueen, not really the back end like that. Because I draw with my right hand, it's probably easier to go left to right, but I wonder if I could get away with trying to draw a different angle. Usually when you see like a picture of like that Pantera, like I was saying, you kind of get this 3/4 look of it. That would be like the driver's side. Although this one, you see this weird little bubble up here? This is because the driver of this car was about 6'4", I believe, Dan Gurney. So they needed a little bit of extra room for his head to stop hitting the inside of the roof of the car. Anyway, it's pretty slick, like a Le Mans or Le Mans race car. Much like also the Pantera, this one has the engine considered mid-mounted, so sort of on this side of the back tires. The transmission would be. Anyway, that's just a little bit of rambling. But anyway, let's try a different angle of this car and see what else we can kind of come up with. So now, let's try. And maybe we'll do like a semi-serious version after the fact. Again, I do kind of think of the car as being a little more fish-like. I'll dip the pen here. Being a little bit more fish-like. Try to get a little bit of that roof in there as well. It has sort of supports built in. Again, the 95 roundish kind of there. Lightning bolt, of which we don't really have lots of space. Something like that, maybe. Let's try to change that up a little bit more and go for, dip my pen. Again, that kind of weird fishtail kind of thing going on. Kind of the haunches a little bit. And if this is still the tail, I do believe it's support. I don't know if there's 3 or 5. I'm going to go 5 just for sake of doodling. Something like that, maybe. Let's try something else here. The face, let's see. So the Rusty Z thing, kind of now, I do remember seeing the movies. I think I saw at least the first couple. One of my nephews was a huge fan. I remember I think we got to see one of those movies. A bunch of us went. Yeah, Lightning McQueen. Split the eye in the windshield. Let's go slightly higher on that side, a little bit lower on that side. Could we have the eyes over here, over there? Maybe a little bit here. Something like that. Kind of faking that 95 there. Something like that. Yeah, I don't know what else. That's 4 different ways to look at that car. What if we try something a little bit different? So I'm going to flip this around. And try something else. So let's look at this one more time. I don't know what kind of car Lightning McQueen is supposed to be based on, honestly. It kind of looks like a Corvette to me more so than other things, but it has stylings of the GT40, not so much the back end of this car, but or even like this. Anyway, it reminds me of this car. Not just because it's the only kind of red car that I have around that's similar, but it's got sort of a stockier kind of build, Lightning McQueen. So yeah, like I said, it's easier to draw left to right, but I'm going to try a little more that way, maybe. I don't know. So, as I normally do, I like to start with the eyes. I wonder. I'll split the screen here. Could I get away with doing that? Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, let's keep the doodle going. As I said, I'm not going to copy somebody else's thing. So it's not a pose that I can think of, but maybe I'm thinking of, like, you know, Finding Nemo or something. Now, what if we had the tires kind of turned out a little sideways, but still able to make contact with the ground? I mean, fairly confident car. But let's say he's a little hesitant to do something. Has anyone made that comparison too? You know what? I'm sure they have. I'm not the only person who probably thinks that way. That there's sort of a Nemo connection. All the Pixar movies seem to be kind of connected to each other. Anyway, that's just rough ideas. What I remember, kind of something like that. I believe up here it says medicated. Not that that matters. In the R here it says rear end formula. Something like that. And I don't remember what it says underneath there. No, you know what? I think it's rear end formula down here, and then in the R it says something like bumper ointment. Anyway, that doesn't matter. I don't think it matters. Let's clean up this drawing just a little bit, and then we can be kind of done with it. And because we're about 16 minutes in for doodle time here. And by cleanup, usually I just mean, like, you know, where you kind of solidify some of the lines, little scratches that you make in your sketch. So yeah, I don't know if this exists out there. I didn't go looking. I'm sure somebody would have drawn something comparable. I don't know. As I said, I am not going to copy somebody else's thing. Their fun little curved tail like that. Do I have enough room to kind of fake in this 95 up here on the roof just a little bit? You can kind of see it, but not really because of the angle. All right, well, that's in the neighborhood of what I'm aiming at. Let's do something with this mouse. And up here we'll say just kind of scratch it in a little bit. Now, generally you spell gas, G-A-S, but we're going to be crafty. I'm going to say out of gas. All right. Oh, you know what? I think on the tires, I kind of recall them, you know, instead of saying like Goodyear, I think they're all Lightyear tires. I could be wrong. I feel like I kind of remember that. Anyway, not that big of a deal. I don't know why I had that realization. Let's see what I got here. try to blur in a little bit of this. Hints of color. Top part's kind of there. I think those would be orange. Here, although they'd be stickers. Now, stylistically, I think there's something kind of funny that they chose to have these blinkers here and not make them eyes. They must have been like, oh, they can't get as much expression out of them. There must have been a very, I don't know, they must have sat around in the room and just said, oh, what are we going to do about blinkers? Maybe I'm wrong. I'm sure in the old form DVDs, those magical things, DVDs, where somebody probably would have said something in the commentary. Stylistically, they chose to make the eyes on the windshield for this reason. I'm not making this totally beautiful, by the way. The lower part of the numbers, just for fun. But I'm giving it its kind of semblance of color. Because it is a sketch, after all. 25-minute long sketch of 5 different cars. That was a good chance. Ethan could probably just kind of do a version of this that's way better. And that's perfectly fine. And maybe at some point I'll ramble on a little bit about the De Tomaso Pantera, of which I have several Hot Wheel cars of. Actually, let's prep this for some of the ridiculous things that I do. I'm going to throw a little bit of water on this, and then we'll tighten things up after. If I actually have... Be back in a moment. Okay. Can you tell I don't edit my videos for time? Forgot that I cleaned out the water and the cup, I should say. Which I do every so often because ink and water after a while becomes a little murky. That's funny. Ethan and his brothers are each incredibly intelligent human beings. Mom is super artsy as well. I don't know if I've really seen their father doodle pictures, but I would assume, and I like to make assumptions of people that I think fondly of, that guy has an eye for artsy stuff as well. Now, right now, this is just kind of, I don't know what you want to call this, a proofing of this character that I drew. And again, hey, if you know of something out there like this, because, you know, when I draw from memory, it's possible that I would have seen something like it, but I'm not using that at the moment as a reference. I don't like to have references most of the time for my sketchbook, because I like to draw from what's inside my head, different angles, that sort of thing. Okay. Nothing wrong with references. I don't want you to be mad at me. You want more accuracy? Please use references. All that kind of stuff. So I went with the red first to start, and then I'll take care of the tires here. Then we'll get a look at the drawings again, and that'll be it. You know, 30 minutes of just doodling around on what is currently a late Sunday morning. All right. I'll let that dry for a moment, then I'll go back in with my pen and maybe clean up some of those things. But so these were like the quick little doodles that I did mainly from memory, while using that Hot Wheels car just as a try to figure out where I want certain things to kind of be. And let's see here. Do some sort of other things going on here. So we're going with sort of like maybe lighting that would be coming sort of from the top but off to one side. If that makes sense. I will trick myself like this with a bit of ugly shadow work. Yes. Let that sort of fall in there just a little bit. Nothing serious. Clean the brush. We're almost done here. So just over 31 by the time we're finished with this. And if you have any ideas of things that you'd like to see me ruin with my take of it, well, just write it in the comments. And I'll not copy somebody else's thing and just kind of do it my way, because, you know, I'm a sookie baby, or whatever you want to say. That's fine. Add a little bit more here. I believe it's kind of like a two windows. The car is its own driver, which is why we have the eyes here. I'll focus just a little bit on the eyes and then finish the outline, and then we can be done. Of course, the person who voices Lightning McQueen is an amazing actor. One of the Wilson brothers, Owen Wilson. Well, I think that's all I can do with this. Work on some of the stylized whatever things we want, if we felt like it. I think it would say like Rust Easy over there and over there. And right here, actually, we'll say oh, I just made a mistake there. That's funny. Well, that's it. I think that's all we need to have with Lightning McQueen for now. So thanks for hanging out. I hope that wasn't too ridiculous. You can fast forward or pause as you see fit. Before I go, just for my own amusement, just a hint of blue in those eyes. All right, folks, have a great day. Thanks for hanging out. All right, ciao for now.